Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're plunging into Revelation chapter 12, specifically verses 3 and 4, really vivid stuff.
Absolutely. We're talking about the great red dragon and what it means when its tail supposedly draws 1/3 of the stars of heaven down to earth.
Yeah, that image. So our mission today is to kind of unpack that, look at the different ways people interpret these stars, and crucially, the timing of it all.
Exactly. There are quite a few layers here, and the sources offer different perspectives. We want to help you navigate those.
Okay, so let's set the scene. Revelation 12.3 to 4 describes a great red dragon. It's got 7 heads, 10 horns, and really importantly, 7 diadema crowns on its heads.
And those diadema crowns, they signify inherent royal authority, right? Not just delegated power. It's suggesting a deep-seated, intrinsic kind of rule.
Precisely. Then it says its tail draws 1/3 of the stars of heaven and casts them to the earth. And this dragon is waiting, basically ready to pounce on a male child about to be born.
Okay, and this is foundational, really. Our sources are pretty consistent here. The male child is identified as Jesus Christ.
The one destined to rule all nations with an iron rod.
Yes. And knowing the child is Jesus is, well, it's absolutely critical because it immediately helps us sift through the theories about the stars. It rules some things out right away.
Right. So knowing that, let's look at the first big interpretation for these stars. Some sources propose they're free-willed beings. Could be angels, could be Old Testament saints who were, led astray or caused to fall.
And the timing is the key differentiator here, according to these views. If this happened before the dragon was confined to Hades...
Before its power was sort of restricted.
Exactly. Then the stars likely represent 1/3 of the angels falling with Satan. But if it happened after that confinement, then the thinking shifts towards Old Testament saints being deceived somehow.
And angels are sometimes called stars elsewhere in the Bible, aren't they?
They are, yeah. That metaphorical link exists.
Okay, this is where it gets even more interesting for me. The dragon's description, 7 heads, 10 horns, those diadema crowns, it sounds a lot like the sea beast later on.
It does, but with some subtle, very significant differences. The sea beast also has 7 heads and 10 horns, yes, but its crowns are on the horns.
Suggesting delegated power, maybe? Not inherent like the dragon?
That's a common interpretation, yes.
Yeah.
And the color. The dragon is fiery red, philphros,
Yeah.
suggesting something consuming, maybe destructive. The sea beast is scarlet. Coquino is often linked more to, say, earthly power or luxury.
Wow, okay. So those details matter.
They really do. The sea beast's 7 heads are often seen as representing 7 political powers. Think Egypt, Assyria, Babylon, Persia, Greece, Rome, and then a future global power.
Right.
So some sources speculate maybe the dragon's 7 heads also connect to these political powers, implying Satan used powerful nations historically to mislead or attack Old Testament saints. It's one line of thought.
Okay, so that connects the misled idea to actual historical powers, potentially. But what about a slightly different angle? Could the stars, if they are saints, represent not just being misled, but actually being persecuted, maybe even killed?
That idea is out there, but the sources we looked at push back on it a bit.
Oh, why is that?
Well, mainly because there isn't strong textual or historical evidence pointing to a full third of Old Testament saints being martyred in that way. It makes the interpretation seem, well, less likely based on the available data.
Gotcha. So plausibility issues there. Now, there are other theories the sources seem to dismiss more firmly, right? Like the idea that the stars cast down is about 1/3 of humanity dying during the 6th trumpet judgment.
Yes, that one gets a strong refutation in our source material. The main problem is the timing again.
Because the male child, Jesus, is born after the stars fall in the narrative sequence here.
Exactly. If the stars falling is the 6th trumpet, that would put Jesus' birth after that future judgment event. Historically, that just doesn't line up at all.
Makes sense.
And the sources really hold firm. The male child is only Jesus, and the first resurrection is seen as a single, unique event. So interpretations involving martyrs being raised multiple times before, that just don't fit their framework.
Okay. And what about linking the falling stars to the 4th trumpet, where 1/3 of the sun, moon, and stars are darkened? Could it just be that?
That's another one the sources tend to dismiss. The argument is basically that the symbolic weight is different.
How so?
Well, heavenly stars being cast down in Revelation 12 feels like it signifies a major spiritual event, something with huge consequences, likely involving spiritual beings or God's people. It's seen as fundamentally different and more significant than just celestial bodies dimming partially. The context points away from a purely literal or astronomical reading here.
So putting it all together, what does this mean for you listening? It really highlights just how incredibly complex and layered biblical imagery can be. And you can see how interpretations really hinge on these sometimes quite subtle textual details or assumptions about timing and identity, like the crowns or the shade of red.
Absolutely. And I think this deep dive really underscores the need for careful reading, for critical thinking. It's about asking what if, but also why does this interpretation hold up, or what's the evidence when you encounter detailed sources like this?
Yeah. Weighing the arguments, not just picking one that sounds good.
Right. Understanding the reasoning behind each view.
Okay, so here's a final thought for you to maybe mull over. Thinking about how we just explored these different, sometimes conflicting interpretations of one short passage. How might that process change the way you approach other complex subjects? Does engaging with multiple viewpoints like this encourage a deeper or more nuanced understanding elsewhere in your life? Something to think about.